A very good morning and wishing you a fantastic Friday ahead. Welcome to today's episode of Morning Wealth. We'll talk about three things: number of doses by Pfizer, OPEC Plus agreement, and Boeing and Ryanair deal. The Dow ended Thursday higher as weekly jobless claims declined and investors looked ahead to Friday's monthly jobs report. The blue chip index rose about 85 points to or 0.3%. The Nasdaq also climbed up by 0.2%, setting another record. The S&P 500 on the other hand rose for much of the day before edging lower ahead of the closing bell, snapping a two-session streak of gains. The broad stock market was down just 0.1%. Uncertainty around the vaccine was on display on Thursday as Pfizer said it expects to ship half of the COVID-19 vaccine it originally planned for the year because of supply chain problems. Pfizer and BioNTech had hoped to roll out about 100 million vaccines worldwide by the end of the year. The plan has now been reduced to 50 million. This development weighed on some of the enthusiasm surrounding the vaccine late in the session. Remember, the vaccine needs 2 doses, so 50 million would mean that about 25 million people will be vaccinated by the end of the year. Major US indexes have repeatedly eked out fresh records on the back of investor optimism that COVID-19 vaccines will accelerate the economic rebound next year, but rich valuations for stocks and elevated infection levels are tempering some of that cheer, leading to some of the more subdued moves that we have seen in the recent days. Treasuries rose. The 10-year yields were down more than 2 basis points to about 0.91. Dollar continued to slump against the entire G10 basket. Gold climbed. On the oil front, OPEC Plus agreed to ease its oil output cuts next year more gradually than previously planned, giving the market more time to absorb that extra supply. The alliance said that they will add 500,000 barrels a day of production in January, a quarter of what would have occurred under the prior plan. Ministers will then hold monthly consultations to decide whether to approve similar sized hikes in subsequent months. Brent surged to the highest since early March. In other markets, the Bank Continental Euro Stoxx 600 was little changed. European regulators are also expected to make a decision on approving the use of the vaccine by the end of the month. In Asia, most major benchmarks ended the trading session higher. The Shanghai Composite was an exception, edging down 0.2%. American lawmakers on Wednesday had approved a legislation that could result in a trading ban on shares of US-listed Chinese companies over the concerns of their audit quality. On the economic data front, we had the jobless claims and also the service sector activity that came out. Jobless claims dropped to about 712,000 for the week. That was lower than what the economists had expected, reflecting a moderate improvement in the pace of recovery of the labor market. We'll be looking out for the NFP number that will be coming out later today, which will have a much larger impact on the market. Meanwhile, activity in the US services sector expanded for the 6th straight month in November, a sign that activity held up despite the rise in COVID-19 cases. This is according to IHS Markit. Things are looking up for Boeing after it sealed a crucial deal for its 737 MAX jet from Ryanair. The discount carrier will add 75 of the aircraft to an existing order in a major boost to Boeing after it returns this particular model to service after a 20-month grounding. The agreement has list value of about $9.4 billion before typical discounts. Boeing expects to deplete its inventory of parked jetliners within 2 years. In some other deal news that I found interesting to note was Blackstone expanded its bet on warehouses, snapping up about 13 properties located mainly in California, New Jersey and Pennsylvania for about $358 million. The firm's non-traded REIT is buying the 2.1 million square feet of buildings from Iron Mountain, which is agreed to lease them back. Google is close to winning over EU for its 2.1 billion takeover of Fitbit. The deal could be approved as soon as next week after national competition authorities give their opinion, is what is getting reported. In other regulatory news, Singapore is also looking into the possible Gojek and Grab merger. Lastly, Chevron followed Exxon in cutting long-term capital spending, responding to this year's oil slump and worsening outlook for prices. Chevron's capital and exploration budget will now be as low as 14 billion in 2022 to 2025, down 27% from the midpoint of its previous forecast. That's the update. Stay safe and healthy. Have a lovely weekend ahead, and I'll speak to you on Monday.